So one of the important parts in Aikido is actually to learn to roll. It can be also difficult for instructors to teach it, and even more likely difficult for beginners to learn. If a person has practiced some type of martial art or sports, it's easier. For some, without having physical experience, it can be very hard, and it can also actually be a painful process. That's why I wanted to make this video, so that everyone could really easily learn, develop the skills necessary to do it, also to have the knowledge of what are the common mistakes and how to do it in the most easiest way. So I really hope that this video will help you. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. We're always looking forward to feedback. If there's some type of video that you really need as well, let us know. So my name is Sensei Rokas, and please enjoy the video. So when beginning to learn to roll, there's many ways to do that, but what we do in our dojo is we begin from rolling from both knees when they're placed on the ground. This is not the most common way to do it, or not the most common way to start it, but nevertheless it's one of the methods that works. It gives a good sensation of how to have the feeling of roll, how to do some general basic movements that are important in a roll. So we'll start from here. So when you go down on the knees, first of all, it's a good idea to have one knee more in front than the other. So let's say I choose my right knee for this instance to be in front. The other one is a bit to the side. Now the toes, they are tucked up so that I will be standing on them. That gives a better base, a better way to sit. So the back leg goes straight back. I place it on the foot, front knee, front leg, the front arm. I place the shoulder on the mat. Now this part is very important. A lot of people, they want to start from here, and what they do is when they roll, they hit the mat, which is actually painful. One of the ways you can actually understand rolling is that the more contact you have with the ground, with the mat, the softer, the better it will be. So right now, here there's no contact, and if I go down straight, if I go straight down, I'll miss this part and hit the shoulder. So in this certain type of roll, as I mentioned before, first I place the shoulder on the ground. Now when it's placed, the head can tuck in a little bit, the chin can go a bit in. The general feeling is that I push myself with the back leg and allow myself to unroll. This happens naturally. Now, what's important though to notice that if a person has done some type of martial art or sports, he has good physical capabilities, probably he'll catch it straight away just like that. But for certain people who never did martial arts or sports, it can be actually difficult to understand how to manage that. So there are some more details that I'm going to share with you right now. If you're teaching a person or to do this, or if you're learning yourself and it's difficult for you to do it, one of the points is that it's a good idea to have the legs in the same line. This is maybe not the best way to keep your balance, but it helps to maintain the rolling. So if it's on the same line, I place my shoulder down on the mat, here. Why this is important is because oftentimes when a beginner does it, he has the tendency to fall on the side. So I'll show you what happens. So if my leg is here to the side, my hips have a tendency to be on the side as well. So my hips are here, and now when the person rolls, he falls on the side. And this, obviously this doesn't work. This is not a proper roll. It can even be painful. If the legs are in the same line, the tendency to not do that is much less so. So if we look at it again, legs on the same line, I place the shoulder, and then I roll. Now since the hips are up, it's much easier to pass them forward and up rather than to the side. So this is, let's say this was pointer number one. The pointer number two is also looking at the hips. The hips are very important here. If I'm to do this roll, if I'm having my legs straight in one line, but there's still difficulties, one of the reasons that could be is that the hips are too low. They're too much down. If they're here now to push yourself up, it's hard. So the trick here would be to actually scoop the back leg closer, to lift your hips up in this position. Rather than here, I bring it closer. Now the hips are up. The legs are in a straight position. Now it's much easier to push yourself with the back leg and unroll. There's something we also do in this roll is we use the hand to stretch. This is a good stretch and also a preparation for a soft high fall. I'm a bit reluctant to teach the hand stretch for the beginner in day one, because if you look at it again, now if I'm reaching, there's a tendency that I will go to the side again with my hips, and I will tilt and fall down. But when the person has a good feeling of the hip work, then you can add the stretch. So the hand, it goes up and reaches. Most likely the person will stop here, and then you can roll. But a very flexible person, he might be able to actually touch the mat, which is fine as well. It's not necessary, but you can do it. And then unroll. Now the last thing that I can share that might help you in developing this roll is, once more, for beginners, they might not catch exactly what to do with the legs at the end. So it's not that difficult to explain that. So as I roll the back leg, the leg which is straight, during the roll, I bend it and I tuck it in, and the other leg is bent as well. But that leg I place the foot on the mat. So once more from the front, the back leg goes under, front leg goes forward. But after you teach the rolling from the knees, then the next step would be to learn to roll backwards. Also, again, once more, experienced person in a physical sense, he might catch just naturally, just easily. For others, it can be very hard. Oftentimes for women, it actually is, they have a fear for rolling backwards, so that even makes it more difficult. But nevertheless, trust me, it's really solvable. So now, when we look at the backward roll, normally it's good to learn from a sitting position. So now notice that the roll, when I'm going to do it, actually the backward roll in Aikido happens through one side of the shoulder. It's not happening through both shoulders. So if I would roll through both shoulders, actually my head would get blocked, and actually it's easy to even hurt your neck here. Oftentimes beginners actually do that. So I'll show a bad example. So if I try to roll through both shoulders, here my head gets stuck, and if I push it, if I try to go with force, then actually you can strain it. So make sure you don't do that. So if we're calling this the front leg, or actually we can also call it the main leg. So this is the main leg, this will be the main shoulder, the same side. So if this is the front leg, the main leg, that means we'll roll through this shoulder. Now it's important to create space here, so that you have space to roll through here. One way to do it, or more traditional way, is to tilt your head to the opposite side of the shoulder that you're going to roll through. So some instructors would say, you can imagine that your ear is actually glued to the shoulder. So now this makes some space here, and it's actually already becoming possible to do the roll. Oftentimes beginners will ask what to do with the hands. So one way to explain it, hands go next to the main shoulder. So they just stay here. Now as I make space here, I push myself back, and the hands, they naturally get placed on the right position where I can push myself up. And in terms of the shoulder, there was enough space here, and I rolled through this side. And as you see, the neck was intact, it wasn't touched, it wasn't strained, so it's a big roll. So this explanation might be enough for some people, especially for physically capable people, but for some beginners or for some people, this might really not be enough. So we'll look at more specific details and the troubles that oftentimes people get themselves into while learning this roll. So first of all, it's important to understand that basically a ball rolls naturally, a square doesn't. So we don't want to be square, we don't want to be flat. If your back is flat and I go down, pretty obvious the result is not very good. So I have to actually have to bend my back, I have to tuck it in, and now there's more of a sense of a ball. So if a person having difficulties to feel it, what you can do, you can ask them to grab the knee, grab the leg, bend your back, and just try to roll back and forward. Back, forward. So this might get the person to feel the round sense, what's important now, to be round. Now the next thing, what's really difficult for some people is actually, if your back is straight, there's no tilting to the side. Here, even if the head is tilted to the side, now it can be not enough to actually be what you go through one shoulder. So what actually you can do, to some people it happens naturally, is that when they tuck the head to the side, the body tilts a bit as well. So if you look at my body, there's a certain curve here, which is actually very important in this roll. As this curve is here, there's more space for the shoulder, and there's more space for the leg to kick it up and over. So here, the curve is in the back. Now, I can go. If the curve is not here, the back is straight. Again, even if the head is to the side, it might not be enough to go over. In order to get the person to feel the curve, either you can ask another person or the instructor can actually tilt the person himself, or just be conscious about yourself and let yourself do to you. If this is not really working, there's another smart way to try it. Instead of putting the head to the side, actually look at the shoulder. So again, main leg, main shoulder, hands, I look at the shoulder, so now when I look, once more there's a natural tendency to tilt my body, and now I roll, and it happens more or less by itself. And some more pointers that you can give to yourself or to another person is that you need momentum, you need energy. If you just go back, it might be not enough strength here, especially if the person doesn't have a good core strength, then it can be really hard for them to do that. So what we can point out is that there needs to be a push here with the foot. So if I prepare myself properly, and I'm ready to really push myself with the foot. So 3, 2, 1, push over. Also, one more way you can imagine it, or you can explain it, either to yourself or to another, is that this foot, you throw it over that shoulder. It's important to prepare yourself properly, and now throw that foot over, together with the hands. So 3, 2, 1, okay. Throw the foot. As if I wanted to touch the mat with my toes here. Here. And at the end, I go on the toes to be in a good position. So normally these pointers are enough to help even a person who has trouble to roll to begin with. You can also, some people it's easier if somebody actually helps them with their hands to give some momentum, to give some energy, so they would actually feel how it feels, and then they're able to catch it rather than understanding it prior to that. But if you do that, make sure that they're in the right position. You don't want to force them into breaking their neck. So these are actually the main pointers for these two specific rolls, the rolls that I normally teach in the first class to a beginner. Just for the end, if you want to develop further, if you want to develop better rolling skills, there's one more exercise I'm going to share with you. So if you have learned the forward roll from the knees and backward rolls from sitting, so you can try this exercise. I prepare myself here, I roll, and then from here, notice that I'm already in a backward roll position. So, I go back. Front, back, and then you can change the sides. Front, back. Just to summarize everything, and including this exercise, when you do the front roll, place your shoulder first. The way the shoulder goes close to the knee, not too far. The shoulder, you sit here. First I place it, the hips are up, legs in a straight position. I roll. The backward roll, I look either tilting it to the opposite side from the main leg, or I look at that shoulder, I tilt my body, and I throw my foot. So obviously with everything you need practice, but sometimes knowledge is also important to know what to practice, so I hope this video is useful. The intention is actually to make more videos of these very precise details and explanations. So in part 2, we're going to learn to roll from here through the entire arm. We're going to keep continuing to build up more and more. We will go up to the high falls. But right now, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments. I'm always very happy to see them and to get feedback and also answer them. So I hope this video was useful. And this is Sensei Rokas, and see you on the virtual mat again soon.